All right, so today we're going to be looking at something pretty cool. It's this whole idea of outcome versus process.
Okay.
So, you know, like imagine you're trying to teach a robot dog to fetch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you only give it a treat when it brings the slipper back, like perfectly?
Right.
Or is every little step towards that goal worth celebrating?
Yeah.
Turns out that's a huge, shitty question in artificial intelligence right now.
It is. Yeah.
And believe it or not, it has a lot to do with how we learn informed beliefs, too.
It really does. You've got some really interesting sources to delve into this today.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, we'll be exploring outcome and process reward models in AI.
Okay.
And then we'll connect that to a fascinating approach to conversation and critical thinking called street epistemology.
I'm intrigued already.
Yeah.
So let's start with the AI stuff.
Sure.
What exactly are these reward models all about?
Right.
I mean, I get the robot dog example.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work when you're training a complex AI?
Well, you're essentially trying to teach a computer program how to achieve a specific goal.
Okay.
And just like with any kind of learning,
Right.
feedback is key.
Mm.
Reward models are all about providing that feedback.
Okay.
But how you give it makes a big difference.
Okay, so outcome reward.
Yeah.
That's like giving the AI the big A+,
Yeah.
only when it gets the right answer.
Exactly. It's all about the final result.
Gotcha.
Did the AI successfully complete the task?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, reward.
Oh.
If no, no reward.
Makes sense.
Now, this works well for simple tasks.
Right.
But imagine something more complex like navigating a maze
Yeah.
or playing a game of chess.
Yeah, I can see how just rewarding the win wouldn't give the AI much to go on.
Right. And that's where process rewards come in.
Okay.
Instead of waiting for that final outcome,
Right.
you reward the AI for each step it takes in the right direction.
Okay.
Found a piece of the maze solution.
Uh-huh.
Reward,
Gotcha.
made a strategic move in chess.
Mm-hmm.
Reward.
It's like giving it those little breadcrumbs along the way instead of making it wander around in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is different types of AI algorithms
Okay.
actually use these reward signals in different ways.
Oh, interesting.
There's this whole field called reinforcement learning,
Okay.
where algorithms like Q learning or deep Q networks learn by maximizing these rewards over time.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
It gets pretty complex.
It does get complex.
But I'm still curious, how does any of this relate to human learning and beliefs?
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty big jump.
Well, that's where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
And this is where your next source comes in.
Okay.
Navigatingbeliefs.com,
Okay.
which introduces us to this idea of street epistemology.
Okay, I've heard that term before.
Yeah.
But I'll admit, I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Sure.
What's it all about?
In a nutshell, street epistemology, or SE, is a conversational technique
Oh,
that focuses on exploring beliefs and how we form them.
Okay.
And the really cool thing is,
Yeah.
it's incredibly relevant to this whole outcome versus process idea.
okay. I'm definitely seeing a connection here.
Yeah.
But before we go there, can we just break down what SE actually is?
Sure.
Like, is it about arguing with people on the street?
Okay.
Because that sounds a little intense.
Not quite. It's actually the opposite of arguing.
Okay.
It's about having respectful, open-minded conversations with people about their beliefs,
Okay.
with the goal of understanding how they arrived at those beliefs and maybe even helping them think critically about their own thought processes.
So it's not about trying to win the argument
Right.
or change someone's mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The focus is on fostering genuine understanding and encouraging self-reflection.
Gotcha.
And this is where that outcome versus process distinction comes into play.
Okay. I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So think about it this way.
Yeah.
If you're approaching an SE conversation
Yeah.
with a purely outcome-focused mindset,
Mm.
you're only concerned with whether the person changes their belief by the end of the conversation.
Right.
Did they shift their viewpoint success?
Okay.
But is that the whole story?
I'm sensing a butt coming.
Always a but.
Okay.
Because just like with training AI,
Right.
focusing solely on the outcome can actually be detrimental to the learning process.
So it's like, you might be happy if the robot dog eventually fetches the slipper,
Yeah,
but you've missed all those little moments of progress along the way.
exactly. And when it comes to human conversations,
Right.
those little moments are where the real magic happens.
Okay.
The self-reflection, the critical thinking,
Yeah.
the deepening of understanding,
Hmm.
those are all incredibly valuable, even if the person's initial stance doesn't change immediately.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
I feel like we're often so focused on the end goal
All right.
that we forget to appreciate the journey.
Yeah. And the beauty of street epistemology is that it encourages us to embrace the journey.
Okay.
It's about fostering a process of exploration and discovery,
Mm-hmm.
both for ourselves and the people we're talking to.
All right. This is all starting to click for me now.
Good.
We've got this parallel between how AI learns
Right.
and how humans form beliefs.
Yeah.
And this whole outcome versus process thing is key to both.
Absolutely.
But how does navigatingbeliefs.com fit into all of this?
Well, that's the really exciting part.
Okay.
Navigatingbeliefs.com is a fantastic resource
Yeah.
for anyone interested in learning more about street epistemology
Okay.
and putting these concepts into practice.
Okay.
They've got all sorts of materials, articles, videos, you name it,
Cool.
on how to have more productive and meaningful conversations about, well, pretty much anything.
So it's like a toolbox for better communication.
Exactly. And it's specifically geared towards helping people apply SE techniques in real-life situations.
Okay.
They've got tips on asking the right questions, navigating tricky conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and even dealing with those moments when things get a little heated.
Okay. That sounds incredibly useful. I'm definitely adding that to my list of things to check out.
Awesome.
But before we move on,
Sure.
I want to circle back to this idea of outcome versus process in SE.
Okay.
Can you give us some concrete examples of what that looks like in practice?
Absolutely. Let's say you're talking to someone who firmly believes in astrology,
Okay.
and you're curious about how they came to that belief.
Mm-hmm.
An outcome-focused approach would be all about trying to convince them that astrology is wrong.
Yeah, I can see how that would probably lead to a pretty defensive conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a process-focused approach would be different. You might ask questions like,
Okay.
what initially drew you to astrology? Or
yeah.
what kind of evidence would make you reconsider your view?
It's like you're inviting them to think critically about their own beliefs without putting them on the spot.
That's the idea, and that's what makes SE so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not about forcing a change,
Right.
but about fostering a deeper understanding, both for ourselves and the person we're talking to.
This is already making me think about how I approach conversations differently.
Good.
I'm definitely starting to see the value in shifting my focus away from just winning
Yeah.
and towards genuine understanding and connection.
That's the heart of it. And navigatingbeliefs.com provides all sorts of tools and resources to help you develop those skills.
Well, I think this is a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've laid some really fascinating groundwork
Yeah.
exploring these parallels between AI and human belief formation.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a taste of what street epistemology is all about.
Right.
But there's so much more to unpack here.
There is. And when we come back, we'll delve deeper into the nuances of applying outcome versus process thinking in SE conversations.
Okay.
And we'll explore some specific examples of how navigatingbeliefs.com can help us all become more effective communicators and critical thinkers.
Can't wait. This is already mind-blowing.
Awesome. Give our cows something to talk about. Become a subscriber.
Okay.
Like, are the cows gossiping
Yeah, what are they talking about?
about the subscribers?
Are they, like, rating our comments?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into this fascinating world of street epistemology and outcome versus process thinking.
Right.
I'm still buzzing from our last conversation. It's amazing how these concepts apply to so much more than just training robots.
Yeah, it really is a powerful framework
Yeah.
for understanding how we learn and interact with the world around us.
Yeah.
And as promised,
Yes.
we're going to take a closer look at navigatingbeliefs.com
Okay.
and the wealth of resources they offer for putting these ideas into practice.
Yeah, from what we've discussed so far, it seems like they've really thought through the practical applications of street epistemology, something I find super helpful.
Absolutely. They go beyond just defining the concepts
Right.
and really dig into the nitty-gritty of
Yeah.
having those challenging yet insightful conversations.
Okay.
They offer a whole toolkit
Okay.
for navigating tricky topics with more grace and curiosity.
Color me intrigued. So what kind of tools are we talking about? What sets navigatingbeliefs.com apart?
Well, one thing that really stands out is their emphasis on understanding the psychology behind belief formation and how that plays out in conversations. For example, they delve into how a process-focused approach can actually reduce defensiveness
Okay.
and foster a more collaborative atmosphere.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When we feel like someone is genuinely trying to understand our perspective,
Right.
rather than just trying to prove us wrong,
Exactly.
we're naturally more open to engaging in a meaningful exchange.
Precisely. And navigatingbeliefs.com provides practical tips for cultivating that sense of understanding.
Okay.
For example, they talk about the importance of asking open-ended questions,
Right.
really listening to the other person's responses, acknowledging their feelings and experiences.
So it's not just about the words we use,
Right.
but also about the overall attitude we bring to the conversation.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about creating a safe space for exploration and genuine dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where that process-focused mindset really shines.
Okay.
By shifting our focus away from the outcome,
Right.
whether the person changes their mind or not,
Right.
we can create a more relaxed and receptive environment for
Yeah.
both parties.
That's such a crucial point. I
Yeah.
feel like we often go into conversations with our arguments all lined up,
Yeah.
ready to pounce the moment we hear something we disagree with.
It's a common trap.
Yeah.
But that kind of combative approach rarely leads to productive outcomes.
Right.
In fact, it often just entrenches people further in their beliefs.
Yeah.
Navigatingbeliefs.com offers a different path,
Okay.
one that emphasizes empathy, curiosity, and a willingness to see things from multiple perspectives.
It sounds like they're really encouraging a more nuanced and compassionate way of engaging
Yeah.
with those who hold different views.
And one of the tools they offer is guidance on framing questions in a way that encourages reflection rather than defensiveness.
Okay. I'm all about practical tips.
Okay.
Can you give us an example?
Absolutely.
Right.
Let's say you're talking to someone who believes in conspiracy theories.
Right.
Instead of directly challenging their belief,
Mm-hmm.
which might make them shut down,
Right.
you could ask something like, what led you to that conclusion? Or what kind of evidence would make you reconsider your view?
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It's like you're inviting them to think critically about their own beliefs without putting them on the defensive.
Exactly. And that gentle nudge towards self-reflection can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It allows the person to engage with their own thought process in a more objective way.
This reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about epistemic humility.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that's a term I'm not super familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain what it means in this context?
Of course, epistemic humility is essentially the awareness that our own knowledge and understanding are limited, and that we should be open to revising our beliefs in light of new evidence or perspectives.
So it's about recognizing that we don't have all the answers
Yeah,
and that it's okay to change our minds.
precisely. And it's a crucial ingredient for having productive conversations and fostering genuine intellectual growth.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like in today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the need to be right all the time,
Right.
which can really hinder our ability to learn and grow.
It's so true. And navigatingbeliefs.com really emphasizes the importance of cultivating this epistemic humility,
Yeah.
both in ourselves and in others.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that learning is an ongoing process
Hmm.
and that we should approach conversations with a spirit of curiosity and openness.
This is really resonating with me.
Yeah.
It seems like this approach could not only help us navigate those potentially tense conversations,
Yeah.
but also contribute to our own personal growth and self-awareness.
You're absolutely right. It's incredibly valuable for self-reflection as well.
Oh, interesting.
The same techniques we use to explore other people's beliefs
Mm-hmm.
can be turned inwards to examine our own assumptions and biases.
Right.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own thinking.
That's a fantastic point. It's so easy to get stuck in our own echo chambers and assume that our way of seeing the world is the only valid one. But by engaging in this kind of internal dialogue,
Right.
we can become more aware of the factors that shape our worldview
Yeah,
and how we arrive at our conclusions.
precisely. And that increased self-awareness can then help us make more informed decisions, be more open to new information,
Right.
and ultimately become more well-rounded individuals.
Wow. I'm really starting to see the potential here.
Good.
Street epistemology isn't just about having better conversations with others.
Right.
It's also about cultivating a more critical and compassionate relationship with ourselves.
You've hit the nail on the head. And navigatingbeliefs.com provides a wealth of resources to support you on this journey of self-discovery and intellectual growth.
I'm sold. Navigatingbeliefs.com. Definitely going on my list of things to check out.
Awesome.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more thing that's been swirling around in my mind.
Right.
We've talked a lot about how street epistemology can help us navigate those big, potentially divisive topics.
Right.
But I'm curious about its applications in more everyday situations.
That's a great question. And honestly, that's where I think the true power of SE lies.
Okay.
It's not just for debating complex philosophical issues.
Right.
It's a framework for approaching any conversation, big or small,
Mm-hmm.
with more curiosity, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand.
So how might we apply these principles in, say, a conversation with a coworker about a project,
Right.
or even a discussion with our partner about weekend plans?
Well, think about the core principles of SE.
Yeah.
Asking open-ended questions,
Mm-hmm.
listening actively,
Okay.
acknowledging the other person's perspective, and
Yeah.
being willing to examine our own assumptions. These are valuable skills in any conversational context.
That's so true. I feel like we often go into conversations with a predetermined outcome in mind.
Right.
And that can really limit our ability to truly connect with the other person and explore possibilities together.
Absolutely. And that's where the beauty of a process-focused approach comes in.
Okay.
By shifting our attention away from winning or being right,
Right.
we can create space for genuine collaboration, creativity, and even unexpected solutions.
I'm really starting to see how this can transform the way we interact with the world around us.
Good.
It's about fostering a spirit of curiosity, open-mindedness,
Yeah.
and a willingness to learn and grow both individually and collectively.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole exploration so exciting.
Yeah.
It's not just about acquiring new knowledge or skills.
Right.
It's about shifting our mindset and embracing a more compassionate and intellectually humble way of being in the world.
Well said. I think
Yeah.
this is a perfect place to pause for now.
Subscribe now or the cows will unleash a Moonami.
Moonami.
I know, it's like
I don't even know what that would look like.
a tidal wave of cows. You know, like a stampede
I don't even know.
of cows coming right at you.
All right, so welcome back. I'm still processing everything we've discussed, you know,
Yeah.
about outcome versus process thinking and
It's a lot.
street epistemology.
Yeah. It's amazing how these concepts can apply to everything from
Oh,
training
sure.
robots
Yeah.
to navigating, complex conversations.
Right.
But I think the real question is, how do we actually apply all of this in our everyday lives? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
something that navigatingbeliefs.com really emphasizes. It's
Yeah.
not just about understanding these concepts in theory.
Right.
It's about putting them into practice in a way that enriches our lives and our relationships.
So where do we even begin? I mean, most of us aren't going to be having, deep philosophical debates on a daily basis.
Right.
But we are constantly interacting with people, setting goals, and trying to navigate a world that feels increasingly complex
Yeah.
and often overwhelming.
Absolutely. And that's why I think the most powerful takeaway from all of this is the importance of developing a more mindful awareness of our own thought processes.
Okay.
Are we approaching situations with a rigid, outcome-focused mindset?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we open to the possibilities that emerge when we embrace the process?
Okay. How does SE apply to, say, writing a song?
Well, think about those open-ended questions we talked about.
Right.
Instead of judging your initial ideas or getting discouraged if the melody isn't flowing, you can approach the process with a sense of curiosity.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what emotions am I trying to express?
Uh-huh.
What new chord progressions can I experiment with?
Yeah.
What stories do I want to tell?
It's like you're having a dialogue with your own creative process.
Exactly. And by embracing that spirit of exploration,
Right.
you're opening yourself up to new possibilities and allowing the creative process to unfold more organically.
This is making me think about how often we get stuck in our own heads overthinking things
Yeah.
and focusing so much on the outcome
Right.
that we paralyze ourselves.
It's a common experience, but by shifting our focus to the process, to the moment-to-moment experience of creating, we can free ourselves from those self-imposed limitations and tap into a more playful, intuitive way of being.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how these principles can apply to so many different areas of life.
Me too.
From our personal goals to our creative pursuits to our relationships with others.
Absolutely.
And as we've discussed, navigatingbeliefs.com offers a wealth of resources.
It does.
For anyone who wants to dive deeper into these ideas and develop those skills, they've got articles, videos, even online courses to help you become a more effective communicator, a more critical thinker,
Right.
and honestly, a more well-rounded human being.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to embark on that journey of self-discovery and intellectual growth.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
But remember, the exploration doesn't have to stop here. Keep those minds curious, those hearts open, and those conversations flowing.
And remember, it's not about being right.
Right.
It's about being open to the possibilities.
Beautifully said. Until next time, happy diving.